let's talk about this.
All right. So I wanted to go ahead and touch on this right quick. We're coming up on 2:19, so I want to go ahead and close this out with this last subject. So WBD, if
hold on,
if it weren't apparent as of right now, WBD has lost 77% of its investments for the last 5 years into the movies they chopped up before they spit them out. So I want you to try and picture this math-wise for a second here. Let's just say you're an investor and you invest $100,000, just $100,000. Not a lot of money, but let's just say in 5 years you lost 77% of that $100,000. What are you going to be left with? That's exactly what's been going on here. These investors have invested money into WBD for the last 5 years. They have lost 77% of their investment. Okay. Can you bring up that one with how much their stock is worth right now? Yeah, right there. Okay. So $7.21 for anybody who needs the context of that, the perspective of that. That is 721 pennies. That's how much their stock is worth. 721 pennies. Would anybody care to venture a guess how they got there? Go ahead and pull up that chart. What is this? Look at that. Now, like I said, rose-colored glasses will tell you that this means nothing. Numbers mean everything to men in suits who give you millions of dollars because you promised them that they were going to get a return on their money. That means something to people. So for those of you who are not in the chat but are probably listening, if you're Gunn fans or whatever the case may be, let Gunn cook crowd. Let me tell you something. There's no escaping this. There's no excuse that a company got took over and in 5 years they lost 77% of their investments. Okay, 77. Yes, Qatar, a 77% loss. Imagine. Look, because now let me tell you something. 10%, 20%, 30%, 10% is a lot. You know how much money you can live off of? Okay. That came from a buddy of mine who has a stream, and he said the same exact thing. He said, "Look at that. There is no excuse in the world why 77% happened in 5 years, but it did. And you know why it happened? It only happened for one reason: ego. Ego is a detriment to men with money, and they don't realize it. Ego is a detriment to their careers and they don't realize it because they lead with their ego instead of leading with their brain. Just because somebody else is doing it one way doesn't mean it's going to work in your house. That this chart proves that. This chart proves that Zack Snyder, his universe, made money. Everything after him started sliding.
And
the proof is in the pudding.
And that's without physical media. This is
correct.
Box office in theaters.
This is just box office and theater. This is not the toys, the merch, the t-shirts, the cups and all. It's none of that.
And all that.
It's none of the other stuff.
The Snyder merch sells. We all know how much that shit flies off shelves.
And it sells out.
Now, let's talk about why this chart looks the way it looks. Because grown-ass men and women don't like buffoonery. Okay? We like buffoonery, don't get me wrong, but buffoonery has its place. Okay? So you turned a serious universe, a mythos of DC characters into a joke. Because a certain someone can't get out of his own 4-year-old brain. Okay. When he sat up and read comics in bed, just like he said he was reading, I can almost picture his stupid ass giggling because he thought that shit was funny. That is the reason why they are going to lose. That is the reason why Zack Snyder is winning. Because outside of Twitter and outside of these other social media spheres, people live in the real world. And the real world says, hey, Zack Snyder made us money. Which is why everything is happening the way it is working right now. And there it is, Sin Havoc. Gunn's been working with WB, DC, and Marvel Studios since 2011. See? You see that, Sergeant Riggs? That's what I was talking about right there.
Mm-hmm. We actually had this conversation backstage.
Yep, and me and Rock Talks, we talked about it. We went all the way back as far as Dawn of the Dead. Again, this is about ego. When a man writes a script and his script gets overtaken by somebody else because they thought the dialogue and the action sequences, everything else in that script was better than what you wrote, you're going to be mad. But it's not like you didn't get the credit, because you did. That was a jumping off point for you as far as mainstream film and all of that go. And you've had a relatively successful career. Okay. But don't think for a second that we don't know that you were there behind the scenes, working whatever deals you were working out to stump out Zack Snyder's universe. We already know. So with that being said, I didn't want to touch on this too long, but I just wanted everybody to know that numbers don't lie. Currently, WBD is upside down in their mortgage. Let me tell you what that means. Okay, they are worth $17.7 billion. That's what they're worth. Guess how much their debt is? Pull that up. 43.2 billion. Real estate agents would call that being upside down in your mortgage when your house is worth less than the debt you owe on that house. That happened for a reason, because mismanagement, because of egos. They weren't thinking about the investors and their money. They were thinking about what they wanted to do. So if I'm a capitalist, if I'm an investor, no, you're going to do what I want you to do. Zack Snyder's universe was profitable. There is no way, there is no scenario that exists in this universe that's not a fact. I don't care what anybody says.